In the Gospel today, Jesus continues his Sermon on the Mount. And he has some challenging images about our hearts and eyes in today's reading. He says, your eyes search for what will intensify the heart's treasure. You will look for what you want the most with greatest watchfulness. Back in 1965, the literary editor of the magazine Harper's Bazaar, Alice S. Morris, published an anthology of 35 short stories chosen from among 186 which had appeared in the magazine over the years. And two of these stories illustrate what Jesus teaches in today's gospel reading about one's treasure being where one's heart is. The first story is by C.S.C. entitled The Giant Fan. It's about a boy who grows up to be a fantastic supporter of the baseball team, the one of them called the New York Giants, of course. And he is so engrossed with this particular team that he leaves only for the times when this team plays. He is so charmed by each Giant player that he is constantly arguing about the superiority of each Giant player over his counterpart in other teams. He even comes to blows on this issue. In the end, he kills a man because the man says Robinson was better second baseman than Stanky. And the story ends with those words. And the second story, entitled Covetousness, is by the British essayist and novelist Cyril Connolly. It is about a man named Jonathan, a collector of rare trivia. First editions, unpublished manuscripts, old plates, and so on, he collects. And Jonathan spends all his money to enrich his collection. So much so that he refuses to put up a protective gate to prevent people from falling down the stairs of his own house. Ultimately, he kills himself accidentally, tripping on one of his prized possessions and falling down the unprotected stairs, a victim of his own passion. And these two stories illustrate the same point. One can quickly become a slave or the victim of a habit of a person or a category of things. You will look for what you want the most with the greatest watchfulness. And many people in Jesus' time hoarded their coins and good clothes, precious commodities of that time, precious and rare. And the only difference between that time and ours is that we hoard them in the bank vaults and they hid theirs in the ground. And often they were kept in storage so long that they began to rot or rust. And in today's gospel, our Lord advises not to pile up treasures on earth because they don't last long. Being fragile and perishable, moths can consume expensive clothing, and rust can destroy precious metals. That thieves break in and steal is no different from that time to ours. And nothing on earth is worth putting our eyes and hearts into in an absolute way. We might ask ourselves, to what do I give my heart to? Especially, exactly what is my treasure and what do I usually think about? Our hearts should be placed in the Lord because He is one real and absolute fortune. Everything we own today will someday belong to someone else. And our relationship with the Lord remains with us through life and death into eternity. That's the only thing we will take home when we meet the Lord.